Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jason and the channel is The Everyday Card Collector. In today's video, I'm going to go over my 1964 Auravision set. I completed it a couple weeks ago and said I was going to make a video. I've shown these several times on the channel. For those who have been following me and know me well, I absolutely love this set. So I wanted to show it in its entirety. For me, the set isn't complete. If you're not familiar with them, in 1964, the Auravision records are smaller, like 45 records that came out with images of players, and on each record is a little story about that particular player and an interview with that player. On the back, they almost look like baseball cards, and we'll kind of go through that, showing some of the stats throughout their years and whatnot. But in 64, they put out a set of 16, so I have that entire set. In 62, they ran, I guess, what you would call a test set. And there are a lot of the same images from the 62 test set to the 64. The 62s are much more rare or more scarce than the 64s, but I just wanted each of the images. And within the 62 test set, there are three image variations, if you will, that are different from the standard 1664 set. So I want to get those three image variations, and I have one of them. And I'll show that on the channel. And there are two more that I want to get, and then we can talk about that as well, and kind of get into detail as you know, how difficult those last two are to find, and a little bit pricey and all that good stuff. But pretty excited. I got the 16 done for the 64 set, so I wanted to show this in its entirety with the one image variation that I do have, and talk about the set in general. So we'll get the camera turned around and we'll take a peek at these awesome records. All right. Let's get into it. All right, guys, so as you know, if you follow my channel, I love this set, so I'm really excited to do this. I've shown all of these at one point in time as I was picking them up, just showing the progress of me building the set, and I finally completed it a couple weeks ago when I picked up my last one. So I'll kind of show each of the 16, and then I'll revisit the one image variation that I do have and talk a little bit about that. But I'll get the first two up there. So the first 16 you're going to see are part of that 64 set. And there's my Bob Allison and my Jim Gentile. So as you can see, guys, the reason I love these, the images are absolutely beautiful on these things. I think they're some of the best images of the golden era run of 50s and 60s cards and anything in general. I just love the images. I think they're phenomenal. Some of the other images that I really like are the 69 through 71 supers, top supers. I think have a lot of great images, but I really enjoy the Auravision Records images. So that's kind of why I got into this set overall. So there's my 64 Bob Allison and Jim Gentile. Jim Gentile is one of the three image variations from 62. So I'll kind of point out those three players as we're going through them. He happens to be one of them and one of the last two that I need. And we'll get into a little more detail as I'm going through these. I'll kind of rattle through them somewhat quick. Next two, Pete Ward and Rocky Colavito. So again, if you looked at the Jim Gentile and you're looking at the Rocky Colavito, they're both in their Kansas City uniforms, and Rocky Colavito is the second of the three image variations. And just, I love the image match of their uniforms with the green border itself. I think they're phenomenal. Rocky Colavito just recently passed away, so rest in peace, Rocky. Another underrated player, in my opinion, if you look up his stats and see what he's done for the game of baseball. But so we've got Jim Gentile and Rocky Colavito, both are image variations. I love the Pete Ward. I think the best year of his career, when I kind of jotted or looked up his stats, I should say, 64 was one of the best years of his career. So Ken Boyer, one of my favorite players from that era with the Cardinals, and Roger Maris. I think we all know what he did for the game. Again, I think that Roger Maris image is just phenomenal. Beautiful image. And you can see, guys, I'll kind of flip one of these around and try and get a close-up of it. Oops, sorry. So those are the backs. So very similar to a baseball card. You know, it's got their stats on them. What you will see at the bottom there is Copyright Sports Champions 1962. So they all state that. So a lot of people get confused with if it's a 62 or a 64. The easiest way to tell is obviously the stats. The 63 stats wouldn't be on a 62. So in this particular case, this is a 64. And the handling of the letters and the copy in the bottom are a little different, and I'll get into that when I show you my one variation. But very cool backs, guys. And I should have done my research, and I've done it a couple times, but forgot. There is a YouTube channel where you can go and listen to every single one of these records. And I tell you guys that only because when I started collecting this set, I didn't want any punched records. So you will see the center. Here's my Don Drysdale. You'll see the center does not have the punch out where you would actually put it on the record player. That was important to me to have unpunched records. So you can go, if you look up 1964 Auravision records, you can get to the site. I forget the name of the actual channel that does it. Again, I probably should have looked that up, but didn't. But yeah, so we'll continue on. There's my Whitey Ford. Fantastic image. Follow through of Don Drysdale is absolutely amazing. Not your typical follow through Whitey Ford image, which is pretty standard on most of his Topps base runs. So it's nice to see something a little different. I think that's why a lot of people gravitate to his 53 Bowman color. It's a different image as well, so that's kind of cool. Next, we'll get into, I've shown Warren a couple times, Warren Spahn and Bill Mazeroski. You can see there's some heavy hitters here, and the bigger ones are still to come. A lot of Hall of Famers, a few non-Hall of Famers, but just beautiful, beautiful images. I can't say it enough. I love the Warren Spahn image. And currently, as of right now, the only Warren Spahn piece I have in my collection. So I've done a couple videos where I try to find some Warren Spahn stuff, and this is the only thing that I have. That is going to be changing very soon, though. So we'll probably do a video on that when that happens. But yeah, Bill Mazeroski, Warren Spahn. This one I love, the background color. There's my Al Kaline. Beautiful, beautiful with that red. And then just a beautiful image of Frank Robinson. Just phenomenal images. And that red background on the Kaline is awesome. I will tell you this. I've noticed this recently. I have a little nick above Al Kaline's name, and it's actually the green. I'll try and get it closer if I can. It's kind of the green coming through there, and that is bugging the heck out of me. So I will probably get another one, a cleaner version. If you guys have followed me at all, I talk about these as being an affordable option. These are oversized, obviously. They're the size of 45 records. For those who don't know, those were the smaller records from back in the day as opposed to the 33s, even though these play at 33 RPMs. These are extremely affordable, guys. And I do know a dealer who has quite a few of them. And you can get some of these for under 10 bucks a piece. The higher dollar ones are going to be some of the bigger hitters. You'll see them online. They're not scarce. They're not rare. Beautiful image of Sandy Koufax, one of my favorites. And then the Ernie Banks in the kneeling pose. Shout out to my man Don for the kneeling pose. But beautiful image of Koufax. And you'll see them online for 20, 30 bucks. You can get them for cheaper than that, guys. They're pretty prevalent. And the dealer that I know who has quite a few of them sells most of them for about 10 bucks. And a few under that. And then, like I said, when you get into the bigger names, they get a little bit more expensive. But just beautiful. This is the one that I needed to complete the set. And that's what I bought a couple weeks ago at the Sports Spectacular, Willie Mays. And then there's my Mickey Mantle. So those are the 16 of the 1964 set. The two you're looking at now will probably run you the most. I will tell you, if off of memory, I believe I got the Mickey Mantle for under $40. I think it was like $35. I bought the Willie Mays. I paid full price. I found it. I've seen it cheaper, but I ended up paying $50 for it. And I know you can get it cheaper. I have mentioned this dealer a couple times over. He sells the entire set. And when he sells the entire set, he sells it at far less than those prices. I spent more money buying these individually. And then when I really dove into the set, discovered that some people sell them as full sets if you can find them, and it's way more affordable. So you can buy the whole set for, you know, I've seen prices from $150 to $250 for all 16 of them, which is just a great price. You're talking $10 to a little bit more per record, and I know I paid more than that because I was buying most of mine online. But beautiful. This is the record itself. I've said it a couple times. The Willie Mays that got me into this set, and the reason it got me into this set was the first time I ever saw it was on Rick Vintage Oddball Cards channel, and I fell in love with the image. It's just an awesome image. So funny enough, this is the record that got me into wanting to complete this set, and I'm not a set builder, and this was the last one I needed. So it's a little ironic that it took me that long to get that last one, and then but it was the first one I ever saw that got me into the set itself. So that's pretty interesting. So I do have one image variation. So I did say the Jim Gentile is an image variation. The Rocky Calavito is an image variation. The third image variation, which believe it or not is probably more prevalent than Jim Gentile and Rocky Calavito, is the Mickey Mantle. So there are the two differences in the Mickey Mantles. The one on the right is your 64. The one on your left is the 62. I prefer the image on the left. I love the 62 image. I think it's phenomenal. And what you will see on the back, I had mentioned down below, it's handled a little bit different. That Auravision copy and that Copyright Sports Champions Inc. 1962 was within the orange border on those records. It is not on this one. So, and the funny thing is, because this one was a test, this actually has some of the 63 stats on it, so it must have been produced or tested out after 62, but is still considered part of the 62 set. So that's where it gets a little confusing. So I just wanted to kind of point that out. You know, Mickey Mantle, when you see these two, you can clearly see the image variation to distinguish them. But most of them, not all of them, and I don't remember which ones, but I know, for an example, Ernie Banks, I know he's got a 62 and a 64. And the only difference in the image will be in the background. So, yeah, that's my Auravisions, guys. So you saw all 16. You saw my one image variation, which I have here on the left. I need the 62 Calavito and the 62 Gentile. There's a Gentile online right now in pretty decent shape, and it's about $100. I've seen the Calavito online for about $125. So out of all 19 images, if you will, the 16 base for the 64 and the 3 variations, the 62 Calavito and the 62 Gentile are probably the toughest ones to find. So they're a little bit pricey. You know, I mean, pricey as this goes. Like I said, you can pick these up like some of the common guys, like, or lesser Hall of Famers and non-Hall of Famers. You can get them for $8 to $10. So, you know, this is a fantastic set to get into, guys. If you can afford the space of oversized items, if you have that space, this is a set I highly recommend to those. And if you're not a set collector, but you're a fan of these players, you can get these for virtually nothing. If you're a K-Line collector, you can get his record for $10 to $12. If you're a Drysdale, $10 to $12. You know, some of the other guys start to climb a little bit. Koufax, like I said, Mantle, Mays, but most of these are in that $8 to $12 range, and you know, maybe peaking out at 30, 35, possibly 50. If you don't have patience, you pay 50 like me. So, but that's it, guys. I was really excited to show this. I just wanted to get these Auravisions out there all together on one video. Super excited about this, and I will end up getting those 2 variations at some point in time, but no massive rush. I'm going to be picky. I want them to be in good shape because, as you see, the ones that I'm showing here are in really good shape and all unpunched. So I'll be picky. So when those happen, they'll certainly hit the channel. But that's it for now, guys. I wanted to kind of show this off and you know, pique a little interest possibly in the 64 Auravision records. So if you enjoy this kind of content, please feel free to like and subscribe. And until the next video, we'll talk then. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.